Alright, everyone, Sparta123. As you guys saw from my last video, I wanted to do a review of the silencer I kind of teased at before. This is the Surefire SOCOM762-MINI2. For those that you are not aware, Surefire does make a couple of 308 cans in addition to, I believe, three models of their 5.56 can. The 762 line, it is the full-size 762 SOCOM, the Gen 2, which is the RC2. That one is approximately 8 inches, I want to say. And their mini line is the exact same length as the 5.56 one, which I believe is 6.2 inches, according to Surefire. Feel free to fact check me on that one, but anyway, it is the exact same size as the 5.56 full-size can, and in 5.56 they have their full-size version, which is again around 6.2 inches, and their mini version, which is about, I believe, 4.25 or so inches. So you save approximately 2 inches by going to the 5.56 variant in the mini variety. But the 762 one, obviously, the difference is it is 30 cal. So this is rated all the way up to 300 rum, I believe is the maximum rating that you can send through it. But obviously, you can use it on smaller calibers like 5.56 with compromising a couple of things. So I'll jump right into that. I have shot the full-size RC2 version of the 5.56 can. Again, same length, same diameter in terms of body. The only difference is the bore diameter, and it's also the same weight. As you can see, mine has a little bit of mileage on it. Not too bad. I try not to abuse it. Just good old honest wear and tear. A couple of times it's been on a select fire lower. In addition to run several mags through it in rapid succession. This can I opted to go for it as my first rifle can, so that way I can kind of save a couple bucks and go with like an all-in-one can where I can use it on a 5.56 gun, I could use it on a 308 gun, I could use it on a 300 Win and a 300 Rum. I could even run a 300 Blackout through it if I wanted to, but I intend on getting a different can for that. So one of the things that you will compromise by going to the 762-MINI2 as opposed to a dedicated 5.56 can, from my understanding, is because the bore diameter is obviously larger to accommodate the 30 caliber bullets, you will compromise some sound and flash performance. Anybody who's ever shot 5.56 suppress will know that it's not quiet, it's just quieter. And I tell that to a lot of people who are getting into the suppressor game to begin with, is just level set your expectations and realize that you're not buying quiet. You're just, being quieter than what you would be unsuppressed. And it certainly does make a big difference. Doing some night shooting with somebody who was unsuppressed versus I was being suppressed. Homeowner approximately 500-600 yards out heard the unsuppressed gentleman loud and clear, and the suppressed, myself being suppressed, he didn't hear me at all. So while it is still loud and it still will damage your hearing, I believe per silencer shops testing, this meters around 142, 45 decibels, something like that. And anything above 140 and above is hearing damage capable. I haven't had any issues with homeowners complaining, like I said, several hundred yards away of noise or anything like that. Luckily, that gentleman was a friend of that property owner, so it was just a friendly phone call, like, "Hey, trying to go to sleep. You mind, kind of cutting that out?" I digress. So, yeah. So this is, like I said, a 30 caliber variety. 6.2 inches. I did bring a couple of things to compare to. A lot of people interested in the Surefire line normally will buy a Surefire Warden. So a good quick sides comparison to a Warden. And for those that are not familiar with the Surefire ecosystem, this is just a blast diffuser slash diverter. So it just diverts everything out the front. No tax stamp, no registration, and so on and so forth. Something else to kind of get into is another reason I did opt for this is they do actually have to meet specifications in terms of zero shift and zero repeatability. One of the things that helps, this cause minimal impact to your zero is the fact that it uses a taper mount in addition to an actual indexing pin. And excuse me if my terminology is not 100% accurate, but you get what I'm saying. So on a taper mount, I do have their muzzle brake here. Let me focus. So you can see on this leading edge right around here, you can see that it's a taper. In addition to the taper, as I mentioned, you have a pin, which is on the bottom side, which helps the can index both horizontally as well as vertically, and so on and so forth. So it makes for in other words, it makes for very repeatable mounting. The only downside that I have heard, I haven't personally experienced this issue, is that with rapid fire and rapid cooling, these cans can become carbon locked onto the mount. In the Surefire manual, it does also mention emergency removal procedures. So if you can't get it off with, just by hand or with a torch, they say that you can also undo the locking collar and fire around through it to, get the can off, basically, get the can unstuck. I did purchase blanks for that specific purpose, just in case I ever have to do it. I've never had to do it. So one thing I realized watching the clip back, I didn't mention that to avoid some of the carbon locking, I do actually also apply the 3M copper anti-seize brake lube. This stuff is rated for, as you can see, 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So I do apply that to the inside mounting surfaces of the can as well as the muzzle devices, or either or really. Just wanted to add that in because I'm sure this is probably a contributing factor as to why I haven't had the issue. And excuse my dog eating in the background, but yeah. But again, this is, like I said, this has been on full auto, which I'll put some clips in here. And in addition to being on full auto, again, rapid fire, I've done training with it. Something else, if you guys aren't into the ecosystem, before I get too far off of size, here's a $100 bill, just to flex a little bit, but here's a $100 bill and some size comparison to that $100 bill. So as you guys saw from the videos that I did insert, you can hear the sound performance, and again, it's not quiet, it's just quieter. One thing I have heard from dedicated, 5.56 cans to 30 caliber cans and shooting 5.56 through them is these generally have a deeper tone. I've noticed that a little bit, but it's not like really that big of a deal because you're going to be wearing hearing protection anyway. I did bust out the scale here just so that way we can get some weight on camera. So let's power it up. All right. So the Surefire SOCOM762-MINI2 weighs 17.6 ounces. For comparison, this is a Warden, which is 8.21 ounces. So a little over a pound that you're gaining from mounting that on the front of your rifle. Again, those not familiar with the Surefire ecosystem, you do have several mounting options. Here you can see a muzzle brake, and here you have their closed tine war comp, which is a flash hider and compensator combination. They also have an open tine variety, and just regular old SOCOM flash hiders if you're not into all that stuff. So would I well, before that, so some other things I kind of want to also touch on is I have seen confirmed reports, not with this can specifically, but being this can is very similar in construction to their 5.56 variety, I wouldn't doubt that this is also capable. I've seen reports of 5.56 cans with over 1 million rounds through them and being sent back to Surefire that are still serviceable. Over 1 million rounds of 5.56 through them. So that's just when you buy a Surefire, it's not the lightest, it's not the smallest, and it's not the quietest, but you're buying a freaking tank. So you can rest assured that you are definitely buying quality when it comes to this. I'm not going to get too much into materials just because I'm not a metallurgist, but it does use some pretty exotic materials that are pretty impressive and very robust. They also have excellent corrosion resistance. This can primarily lives on my 10.5. Almost exclusively, I only shoot my 10.5 suppressed, which actually has the muzzle device, or excuse me, the muzzle brake to try to mitigate some of that erosion. And this can probably has 3,000 rounds through it, maybe plus or minus. And it's still looking pretty good for the most part. There's no erosion that I can see. No noticeable erosion, no baffle strikes, of course. So it's still very much serviceable. It's got barely any rounds compared to some of the ones out there in the wild. Would I buy again? Yeah, of course I would. Will this be my one and only rifle can? Probably not. I do want to get a 5.56 mini can, and the only reason being is per Surefire and other guys out there, yes, it's rated for less than 16 inches, and yes, you can run it on a 10.5. You're just compromising a lot, and that's not really the intended purpose behind that can. The mini series on the 5.56 line is really meant for like a 14.5 or a 16 inch, and to try to save overall length and still get good signature performance, because that's the big thing about having a silencer is your overall signature, how much signature you're putting out there. So I do want to get that because I would like to run it on longer rifles like my 16 inch right here, and then this will just pretty much live on the 10.5, and then if and when I do get a 308 or anything else like that, I'll use it for that as well. I haven't done any testing with this on a 308 yet. But so far, I've been pretty happy with the performance. Like I said, it's 5.56, so you're not really getting a whole lot. If you want to get quiet, I just suggest going to something else altogether. Food for thought. But yeah, this pretty much wraps up the review, and I'm trying out a new video editor on my phone because it's a lot easier to just shoot these videos on my phone, edit them, and then upload them without having to connect to a computer like I usually would. So it's a lot less effort to accomplish, I think, a higher quality product. So I will also insert somewhere, if you haven't seen it already, a clip of 5.56 full-length RC2 Surefire can on a 416 10.5 inch full auto. It was a department gun, an LE gun. So I will insert that somewhere, and that way you guys can kind of hear the difference from the other clips that I already put in.
That one's that's the new SOCOM URGI. That's the new.
Yeah, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can answer and try to help you guys out. Sparta123 signing out.